Right, 2 minutes past the hour of 8 a.m. here at Church of Uganda Family TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, in an age or an era where finances are quite key for us because they, one, with something like COVID, help us reevaluate ourselves and survive a bit, we need to set some financial goals. And with me today in studio, I have Juliet, Kasiita. I don't know if have I pronounced it well?
Yes.
Yes.
The first one to do that.
All right. Hey. And she'll be talking about setting financial goals and what that means practically. Than you say, no, I want to make 10 million by the year ends. How are you going to do it? So, Juliet, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Byron.
So, you are country director?
Yeah, Snapsis, Uganda.
Snapsis.
Yeah, Snapsis, Uganda.
Snapsis, Uganda. What does Snapsis, Uganda do? What is it? What do you do?
Okay, thank you, Byron. My name is Juliet Kasiita, and like Byron has said, I have the privilege of overseeing the operations at Snapsis, Uganda. Snapsis is a Christian organization, and it's a global community that basically trains entrepreneurs. We blend intensive entrepreneurship training with faith principles and access to capital. We help entrepreneurs scale their businesses and be able to run profitable and sustainable business. So Snapsis is actually a Latin word for mustard seed. We pick a story from the scripture we read in Matthew, where Jesus was talking and saying that, the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. It was the smallest of the seeds, but when it got planted, it became that tree that provided branches for birds. Some verses say birds to nest, find habit, rest and everything like that.
Yeah.
So we believe that at Snapsis, entrepreneurs walk our way with little ideas, but when those little ideas are actually supported, when we walk the journey with you, we are going to grow these ideas, we are going to nurture these ideas, we are going to help you turn these ideas of businesses into great enterprises that are going to create jobs, number one, that are going to be fruitful, that are going to impact, different people. Look at the church, look at the societies that we're in, and that's what ideally Snapsis does.
One of the, first of all, thanks so much for saying that. One of the ideas and the thoughts we have, particularly as people, but also I have seen it in Ugandans, we like setting resolutions.
Yeah.
And one of the things we do, there's usually a financial resolution. I'll call it a financial goal today. And say by December, I want to have 10 million or 5 in my account saved up. But our way, we usually reach December when we don't even have 10% of what we said we wanted to have. But why, I think, in your opinion, why is it important for us, first of all, to set financial goals?
It's really important to set financial goals because personally I believe setting the goals itself is the first step of achieving those goals. Yeah, because if you don't set them, what is there to achieve? So setting financial goals is actually a roadmap. It's like you're telling yourself, like you say, this is what I want to get 10 million. You need to sit down and say, how am I going to get 10 million? Why should I actually get that 10 million and all those other things? I believe that we need to set these goals because, number one, especially for the financial goals, no one cares about your financial well-being apart from you. No one actually cares, and that's why it's important for us to set these goals. And the other thing also is that, like I said, I'll give you an example. When we are not well, or we've received communication that many times we need to take health checks, and the health checks, usually you go to the doctor and annual check your kidney, all the renal tests and everything. And I believe the same thing applies to our finances. do you ever do health checks regarding, because the 10 million is a health check. You need to check your BMI, you need to check if you're overweight, you need to check if you're, obese, and that also applies in our finances. So we need to it's important to set these goals, because we now take control. We start, defining where is our money going to go, where are our finances going to go, what is it that they are going to do. It gives you that leverage to take control. There is no way you're going to achieve financial success if you have not set financial goals. And like we all know, in financial literacy, we say that setting financial goals is the foundation for financial success. So it's important if you want to, build wealth, if you want to save, if you want to invest, it's important that you set. Yeah.
It's interesting you've used a health analogy, BMI. Why? And I want to then focus on that one. What should we focus on, even as we set financial goals? What is the BMI? What is our blood pressure in finance?
I think in BNI, I mean in your BMI, your pressure, your thermometer. Some of us are at 32, others are, we've hit 40% and everything. I think the first thing that we should focus on is, first of all, know your why. Why am I even setting these goals? What is it that I'm setting? How am I going to achieve these goals? How am I going to measure these goals at the end of the day? So it's important to actually focus on that why. Why are we even discussing? Financial goals. What am I supposed to pick out of these goals, and that at the end of the day? So for me, I believe that is that like the first starting point. Then the other thing that we want to focus on is allowing you to write your goals down. I read a quote by Philip Crutch. He says, something that is not written down did not exist. It didn't happen. That's why we keep pushing people. First of all, we say, can you have a story, can you author it? Because if you go, we will lose the story. So we are focusing on helping you write those goals down. We are focusing on helping you, put them in a way that they are achievable. You're trying to put them into small chunks. You're trying to redefine. When you write them down, you actually now define them. Because if you have not set them, you can't define them. You start defining them, and then you prioritize them. So it's important that we focus on that. Then the third thing, we need to focus on setting goals. Let us know that they are your own goals. Set your own goals. Don't set James's goals. Some of us have goal excitement. You hear he's going to have 120 million, and you're like, I think I can do. Why? Because we stay at the same apartment. Let's focus on knowing these are my goals and I want to achieve them. Then now the focus also goes to the strategy, because different financial goals require different strategies. So being able to measure, what strategy am I going to use? If I have a goal in my life that I've always shared, that I want to own a building on Kampala Road. And don't laugh, I'm getting there. It's a financial goal that I've set. So, when you're going to have a building at Kampala Road, the strategy is different from when it's going to be somewhere in Tinda or back somewhere in Bukoma and Simbi. So, you need to be able to focus on that. Focus on how you're going to achieve that goal. Know that this is your goal. What strategy am I going to use to achieve this goal at the end of the day?
One of the things that you've mentioned that has caught my ear is you said that make it your why. Exactly. Why are you, me, Byron, not now? I've had Juliet. I might be excited and say, now she wants Kampala Road. Now me, let me do Ginger Road. I don't want a building. So a bit like it's personal, right? Personal. Your why is personal. I don't know if I should get into how you even discovered that, but it then draws me to personal finance, right? Because we're talking about finances. How do I and what? How do personal finances get into setting my goals? How do personal finances affect my goals? Is there a way they affect my goals?
Definitely they do, because that process of personal financial management is actually part of the tool and part of the strategies that I was talking about that helps you actually set your goal. When we are teaching financial literacy, we define personal financial management or personal finances as the process of individual finance goals and proper management of those goals or decisions. And one of the things that we talk about is that personal finance requires 3 things, and I'll share those things. Personal finance requires that there is knowledge, there is skill, and there is confidence or attitude. Now, knowledge is the understanding of your financial issues. You know, first of all, you need to understand. Because before you get to saying, I want to own a building on Kampala Road, there has to be knowledge. Then skill is how I apply that knowledge to be able now to meet the goal that I've set. And finally, confidence and attitude. Owning a building on Kampala Road is not for the faint-hearted. It's not for civilians.
It's really not.
So how am I self-assured, like sufficiently self-assured to make decisions towards that goal? And this is now what personal financial management does. It actually seeks to influence your knowledge, which is the understanding, your skills, your confidence, and your attitude. And when it does that, we get behavior change. We start seeing different habits like financial goals being set up.
So it really does affect everything.
It's like the heart of setting financial goals, and it's actually the tool. I spoke about strategies. Strategies require that you are aware. Remember when I said what is your work? But being aware and not equipped is going to be catastrophic. You know, like you need to have the skill. You need to have the skill to stand here and speak to the people. And then finally, do you have the confidence? Do you have the attitude? Like I said, can I now start making those decisions?
Okay. We have Juliet, and she's challenging us to do better with ourselves. But we're going to go in for a very, very short break. But when we come back, we'll be discussing more on setting financial goals and how important it is, and how do we even start? Where do we start from? Do not go anywhere. This is Church of Uganda Family TV.
Welcome to Coffee Production Tips, brought to you by Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Uganda Coffee Development Authority is the government agency mandated to promote and oversee the coffee industry as a whole by developing research, facilitating coffee production and productivity, by training farmers on good agricultural practices, controlling the quality and improving the marketing of coffee for the benefit of stakeholders, planting coffee seedlings, mulching, training coffee seedlings, and stamping coffee. Farmers are encouraged to adopt good agricultural practices to get high yields, good prices, and better income from coffee. These tips are brought to you by Uganda Coffee Development Authority.
Do you have a business that you are looking to grow? Advertising with Church of Uganda Family TV is the way to go. We are located on Church House, level 13, along Kampala Road. We offer favorable rates and an extremely creative production team that will work with you to take your business to the next level. To give us a ring, call us on 0781 084215 or 0750 655232. Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for waking up with us.
Good morning, our people. Let me hope you've woken up this morning.
Follow us on our social media platforms. That is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. That is at Church of Uganda Family TV. That is COU Family TV on all our social media platforms with the hashtag Morning Glory. Right, thank you so much for staying with us. This is Church of Uganda Family TV, and today we are discussing setting financial goals. Even as we start the year, January is over, today is the last day, but I'm sure it's not too late to set those financial goals. I have Juliet Kasiita, who is with me today. Juliet, again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome.
Yes, before the break, we were talking about personal finance and how that is very important. But also, I want to talk about something that we grapple with a lot. Every time I talk to someone, they're like, "But Byron, I need to save more," or I need to save. Everyone wants to save, but with our economy, for example, and there are always these excuses. We are hand-to-mouth economy. I mean, during COVID, that statement came out a lot. Most of the people are hand-to-mouth. The money they make that day is the money they eat. But saving, in terms of, again, setting financial goals. If my financial goal is to save X amount of money, why is saving? First of all, tell us why saving is very important, but also, how do we do it? If, let's say, I'm a hand-to-mouth, I make 5K. If I make 5K that day, that's the money I eat. Yeah.
Yeah, I read the scripture in the Bible that was talking about these ants. It says that those are small creatures.
Ants, yeah.
Look at the ants. They are small creatures, but they are animals of strength. They store up food for summer.
Yeah.
And I was challenged. Ants. Have you ever seen an ant? They are saying, small as they are creatures of strength, and they are wiser than us. They store up food for their summer. So you asked, why should we save? We need to store up for summer. The things that you've talked about, even when we are living hand to mouth, we need to think about tomorrow. We need to think about, okay, today the meal came in. What is going to happen tomorrow? You need to store up for that summer. And again, going back to what you said, how should we even determine our savings and everything like that?
Yeah.
I think for me, like previously, before we went for the short break, I said confidence and attitude, behavior change.
Yeah.
You do not save because you're earning enough or you're earning more. It's a habit. It's a discipline that you have to build.
Yeah.
And that confidence, like I said, it could be, spurred up by a certain knowledge, a certain skill. We all have skills. Each one of us has something to trade, by the way, in this economy. So you have no excuse for being poor. You have a skill that is tradable in this country. The economy that I've looked at right now, this Ugandan economy, provides an environment for you to trade something. So that ideally should give us a platform to save. And then, like I said, we need to save, because the thing is, we've been talking about all these things of incomes, creating impact, and all those other things.
Yeah.
If we don't have some things stored up, how are we going to help others? How are we going to reach out? How are we going to invest? How are we going to make these things come to place? We need multiple family TVs. How are they going to come when there is no savings? So some of the things that I believe that we need to do as individuals, like I said, let's build our confidence, let's build our skills, demographics also affects a lot of our savings. You said, how do we determine our savings? Demographics will talk about that. I usually talk about the age and maybe the gender, but let me speak about the age. When I was a little younger, because now I'm more mature and grown, when I was a little younger, some of the things that determined my budget were minimal because of the responsibilities. So that time I had the 70-20-10 rule of the budget. You've heard about that. 70 is my spending, 20 a little bit on investments, and then my 10 of tithe.
No savings there.
No savings was 20%.
20 in the 20, okay.
In the 20%, and then now 10 tithe. But as I mature, my savings have actually been moved over, because now I've moved over to something like 50-30 or 10, 50-30-20. I have to live within a certain expenditure pattern. I cannot afford to spend as I saved. As I spent when I was 20 years. And that now, like I said, the age. As you age, as you mature, there are responsibilities that are coming on, but you are getting closer. For those that are employed, you know that you're getting closer to the exit. Someone said, as soon as you're born, plan for death. And the same thing I say, as soon as you're employed, start planning for savings. Because if you don't, you don't need a prophet on that to remind you of that. So the demographics also define that socio-economic spaces that we are in. I've read that women struggle to save, yet men save much more. We read statistics on that. But I've also seen that much as that is a statistic, men actually are more risk takers. They will invest. And then the women, we serve, we keep here, they say there is this opportunity, wait a minute. So those are things that we also have to pay attention to, social culture factors. And remember, I went back to skill. How are we going to help that? We need to save, because we cannot invest if we do not have a buffer around us to help us.
But Juliet, now to make it more, I think, practical, you've said that even those people of hand to mouth are able to save. But me, in my mind, I'm thinking, Julie, I've left home, I've come to work, let's say I work downtown or whatever, and that day I've managed to sell goods worth, or I've managed to trade a bit, goods worth 10K. At home, I live in a house of 50K, let's say, or 100, I don't know, depending. I have like 3 children, I have a wife, and the wife doesn't work. She's probably home. The children have to go to school. Jan was here, we saw. And I'm thinking, how do I then, if let's say my average income every day is about, if I've made a lot, like 10, 15,000, how then do I save, how can I save that money? And yet children have to go to school, they have to medicare, they need to eat every day.
Remember I talked about expenditure patterns. That is now when we come in to start analyzing those expenditure patterns, because the question will be, okay, children have to go to school, where are they going to school? You have left a school around here where you are, you're taking them to a school that is costing you. So even when we say I have to eat, we are going to ask, what are you eating? It doesn't make sense for me, and I'll speak to Byron and you guys who are here. It does not make sense for you every day to go down to CJ's and have breakfast and then come and tell me this talk of we have to eat. The question is, what are we eating and what is the cost of what we are eating? I read a rule again, which is a financial rule from one of the guys that are very prominent in finances. He's an American author, and he put a rule that says that the 1 cent rule. He says for every $1 save 10 cents. And I started now calculating back home here. Let me not look at the dollar. And I say, Byron, for every 10,000 that you make in a day, how much of that goes away? Take away 1,000. 1,000 after a week is 5,000. You have still saved.
Yeah.
The question is going back to our habits.
Yeah.
What are we eating? Where are we eating?
Yeah.
Where are we taking the schools? I told you
Yeah.
about the excitement of goals and peers.
Yeah.
Here, my neighbor has children that are going to, and no offense meant, going to KPS, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, we are neighbors, my children are going there.
Yeah.
Can I afford that? But even when I can afford, my question in financial goals is that, okay, even when I take them, what is the percentage I'm putting away for my savings?
Yeah.
So this is going back to, again. Looking at your income distribution, income levels, income and expenditure patterns, and going back to your why. You can still save.
One of the things that what causes me to do that now is, and what I think what leads me to, it leads me to debt. For example, I have seen maybe Juliet eats CJs every day. I'm like, but we work in the same office. How? So that causes me to, want to live up to standards. But also we have friends, we have family, we have people who, and I think it's a human thing. We're always comparing ourselves to them. And what I think what that leads to is debt. I have to get into debt to maintain a lifestyle that I may or may not manage. But I don't want us to have a conversation of good debt, bad debt, but debt. Comment.
Debt. I usually say, sadly, you can't kickstart your financial future if you have a ton of debts. Let's be clear.
Okay.
And like you said, we will not go into good or bad debt, but if you have issues with money and if people owe you money, there is going to be a concern. This morning I was reading something. Allow me to just read it for you. It's in Proverbs 22:7. It says, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave of the lender. Have you heard? So we are talking financial what? Freedom here. And then again, as I was meditating on that, I read somewhere again, it says, pay what you owe to others. And then it says, I think from what I read, it says, do not have any debt with you, Byron, apart from the debt of what? Love. That's what the Bible tells us. So when we have debt, the first thing for us to do is to manage debt. I don't know, I would come back here to explain how we got there, but today I want to say, how do we manage debt? The first thing for managing debt from a person like me who is so critical about strategy is drawing up what we call a paid debt of strategy. Many people don't have that. You come up and say debt, debt pay of strategy. And this has a lot of things involved in it. What are some of the things that get into that pay date of strategy? Number one, I talked about writing. You're going to list all the debts that you have. And you're going to list them in such a way that you tell us what are the amounts, what are the fees, who do you owe, when did you owe, and everything. Byron,
when is it due?
Yeah, when is it due? I have challenges. I've made, I coach individuals in financial, decisions. I advise, I train. You're talking to someone and the person says, like you said, I am in too much debt. Then I'm sitting down and say, okay, let's just sit down and argue. How much debt? I don't know. Like, you don't know your debt, yet you're indebted. How catastrophic is that? And then sometimes, people are like, someone comes to you and says, Julie, I'm in trouble. I was just there. And then someone, they just sent me this thing that I didn't pay this money. You did pay, but you took the money. You don't know when you're supposed. It is recklessness in financial management, and that is what leads us to death. So let's first of all in that strategy write down. I told you what is not written is not known, cannot be strategized on, it cannot even be prioritized. So let's write down those dates. Let's get to know what is due, and then now we start prioritizing. Look at what is higher. The interest rates that are higher. What is putting me at a greater financial risk and consequences. Some debts might require that you're losing a matrimonial home, and you might want to consider those debts. There are small debts that sometimes people think are small debts, but they are going to impact your credit score and your financial stability. Look at those debts and all those other things. Then after you've listed down, decide which debts to pay off first. That is managing debt. So I usually say in debt management, be patient but consistent.
Yeah.
Now the challenge is that even when you come to Julie and she gives you that strategy, you want to go like in 2 days we have closed off that date. No,
like
it
that.
doesn't work that way. Be patient, work towards what we've listed out. Like I said, what can I, kick off first? I've worked with people who sometimes, even as we look at the many dates, because they wrote them down, we prioritize them, we define them, we are even at a position where we can consolidate the dates into one date that is manageable to give you financial peace, financial freedom, and all those other things. But we wouldn't do that if we don't have that strategy. So even at that point, we are saying, okay, have you prioritized? And when you say, which strategy am I using? That is all managing debt. Managing debt requires social capital. Social capital in the sense that debt is something that causes a lot of psychological imbalances, emotional balances. You have to have a Julie that says, it is well, we will clear this off, we can do this. So we need accountability. Now when people, unfortunately, when people are getting debts, they don't tell us.
They don't tell you. They come when the things are in their name.
When they are taking them to Luzira, they come and tell us. But my advice is, even at the time when you're getting into debt, find those close-knit people. Like you have a Byron that you say, I am about to borrow. People will take you off guard. I've seen people who are into debt. You borrow to buy a drink. Guys, let's be serious. Because some items are not eligible for debt. For the ladies, this is where my pain is. You can't be borrowing to plate money. You can't be borrowing to make your nails. Okay, maybe buy a dress if I'm coming to family tea. I might...
I need to borrow.
There are items that are not, eligible for debt, and those are bits when we are in debt acquisition, but also managing. When you're at that point, you're like, okay, what are the consequences? What am I going to do better next time? Social capital is important. They hold you accountable. They help you get to know that, maybe now as I clear, next time I'll be cautious on this. That is part of debt management.
Debt management by Juliet. Hey, I feel like some of these things are tough. We feel like they are tough.
It's just skill, knowledge, and confidence.
Some of these things are tough. We are like, how do we manage my 100 million? Anyway, we need to break for a very short time. Then when we come back, we'll be discussing more on setting financial goals. Remember, we started from personal finances, then we went to savings. We have now just discussed debt for those of us who borrow to buy a Rolex here and there. Anyway, that needs to change, and I hope your minds are shifting and are changing for the better. When we come back, we'll be discussing more on setting financial goals, things like investment and whatnot. So do not go anywhere. This is Church of Uganda Family TV.
Brethren, yes we can. We can clear the debt of Church House. And I want to invite you to give generously to the love gift. May God bless you as you give.
Do you have a business that you are looking to grow? Advertising with Church of Uganda Family TV is the way to go. We are located on Church House, level 13, along Kampala Road. We offer favorable rates and an extremely creative production team that will work with you to take your business to the next level. To give us a ring, call us on 0781 084215 or 0750 655232. Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for waking up with us.
Good morning, our people. Let me hope you've woken up this morning.
Follow us on our social media platforms. That is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. That is at Church of Uganda Family TV. That is COU Family TV on all our social media platforms with the hashtag Morning Glory. Thank you so much for staying with us here at Church of Uganda Family TV. I'm still with Juliet, and very, very interesting conversations we are having here on setting financial goals. Before the break, Juliet, you were talking about debt and how to manage it. And some of us, I think, were thinking, now for us, where do we start from? But I want us to talk about investment now. There seems to be a gap somewhere, because most people say, you need to invest, and I've heard it before from financial teachers like you come and say, guys, it's important for us to invest, but most of the time we are thinking, how do we invest? Where do we start from? Do I invest in, like, I'd be talking to a friend and they're like, I'm doing poultry. I'm like, you're making 100 million. I need to do poultry also. But I have no idea about that or whatever. But also, maybe in your talks, I think when we were on the break, you were talking about how sometimes people are also investments. I don't know how that works out, where someone says, now Byron, I'm going to marry to you, but you're my investment. I expect a return every month in form of Kameza. But anyway, we'll talk about that. But investment, why is there a gap, but also how do we bridge that gap between, I've had the thing, yes, we need to invest, put away money to invest, but how do we invest? What do we even invest in?
The issue of investment might require that I even come back another day and we dissect investment. But just like you talked about, why is there even a gap? For me, I will still drive you back. There is a gap because we are not aware. We have not sought knowledge. Some people that are experiencing that gap have just not sought that particular knowledge and awareness. But then you said, how do we bridge that gap? Number one, invest in knowledge. Invest in getting to know what is investment, by the way. We are, like I said, I will not talk about the details of investment, but there are so many investment channels that we have. The book, again, I keep talking about the book of knowledge. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 11:2 that invest in 7 or 8 ventures, for you do not know what disaster will befall you. So we need to be able to know which are those 7 or 8 ventures that we need to invest in. Some people invest in stocks, others in go into treasury bills, businesses, different investment portfolios that I will not talk about. But how do we bridge the gap? Like I said, number one, let's find and seek that knowledge. We need to get to know what is the best investment option for me and what are the strategies that will drive me towards that investment option. I told you there's a lot of excitement. One time I was on a call and a great friend of mine was talking about investments and the options, and they had a session where they were talking about treasury bills, and especially for us among the corporates and everything, we do not have time to go and start portray pigs. They tell you now they died and everything. So like how we say what is the appropriate investment. When people heard about treasury bills on that call, everyone was like, where do I go? Please tell me. And that is good, energy to have. But in my head I'm thinking, this was a preamble. Now, before you even start saying, I'm buying, have you understood what is the return? What are the requirements? What are the conditions? And those are things that we don't pay attention to. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend of mine who said, I need some advice on stocks and everything. I said, okay. I started asking questions around investment assessment, like risk assessment and everything. And, the conversation now had to go into another area. But what I've realized is that we want quick fix. Just the way we want quick fix with getting money, we even think that investment is that way.
Like
there are things to pay attention to. What is your risk appetite towards a certain investment option? What is the return on investment? Availability, even for some of those other things. Others do not require us to be there. So seek knowledge. That is one way of bridging the gap. Then I usually say, when it comes to investment, our grandpas used to say, do not put all your eggs in one basket. In the financial literacy lingo, we call it the investment mix and asset mix. Those two, by the way, are different, and we can talk about them differently. But do not, when you wake up and you get your entire salary and then you take it in what is this? Forex trading. And then 2 days down the road, things are bad, we need that whole thing of, and like I said, when you learn, you know where to go. Okay, this can go here, 20% here, 10% here. I'm buying stocks here. I'll fix this money here. I'm putting up a venture here. I'm buying shares here. Those kind of things. So diversify the investments. The other thing is to bridge the gap and protect. I always talk about insurance, guys. I'm not an insurance broker, but there are service providers on insurance. If you have investments, let me tell you one thing. One day, just imagine there will be a catastrophe. There will be an occurrence that might wipe away. It's not a given that it will happen, but at the back of your mind, you just want to know. So for us who are in financial literacy, we say as long as you have investments, and sometimes I say that are of a reasonable amount, it's important to invest in safeguarding them.
What's a reasonable amount?
That now goes into a strategy as well, because if, for example, I am making pancakes along the roadside there, where maybe a day I sell around 20,000, I'm not taking that to Prudential to insure at 200,000. You understand? There are risks that will happen. There are occurrences that will happen, and you can easily bounce back. But there are occurrences that you will take forever to bounce back. And we say even with insurance, it's not that you're at the same level, but you bounce back at convenience. So I have a factory that is worth billions. My dear, you have to think about that investment. If a fire came through, the other day I was talking to someone and I asked, why do you pay third party for your car? And the person told me, I don't want police to stop me. And that's how a Ugandan understands third-party insurance. And I don't blame them. And this is where I say we need what? Knowledge. But there is a reason why we pay third-party. There are benefits around that. There are benefits around comprehensive insurance for your car, for your houses. There are benefits around disability insurance. All those other things. today you're walking here, a border hits you, you lose your legs. What happens?
What happens?
You are still productive, you're still living, but at a certain level.
Yeah.
So insurance is also one of the ways that we can safeguard our investments and be able to do what? To bridge that gap. And finally, when I'm talking about this, I'm asking, let's work with licensed service providers for all these areas of what? Investments. Don't go to Byron. Okay, not that I'm discrediting
no,
you.
I'm not an insurance service provider.
Yeah, don't go to Byron and start asking him about this information is available. Bank of Uganda has information, Capital Markets Authority on every area of investment. Internet, financial providers are there, financial coaches and advisors are there. Run to them and make informed investment options. Otherwise, you will lose your savings.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now, as we come to the end of our conversation, I want us to really come to the end, which is usually retirement. As we retire, also, I want us to discuss retirement. We really, and I've seen it a lot, that we really focus on retirement when we are like 5 years to retirement. We are like, friends, what's the plan? I mean, the other day, sometime last year, we were reading a story that in the Ministry of Public Service, people were extending. They were saying, no, I'm not 50, I'm like 40. And they were like, guys, come on. So, and I think for me, what that painted, it painted a picture of you're not ready to leave. And I don't know why. And I'm sure because you still want that paycheck to come in. It's not that you still want to work a lot, you still want that paycheck to come in. But retirement. One of the things I like asking is, how soon should we plan for retirement? How should we even plan for it? Is NSSF enough, or we are good? For us who don't have, for some people who don't have NSSF, how do we plan for retirement or for old age, whatever you want to call it?
I'll start with what you asked. When do we start? When is the time? When I'm speaking to the people that are in my circles, I usually say the right time to start planning for retirement was yesterday. Like in the past, was yesterday. However, we still have enough grace for today. If you didn't do it yesterday, today.
Start it now.
Start today as we leave this call. Start today. So for me, that is what I usually say. What the right time for planning for retirement is. Then I also add that as soon as you get into gainful employment, gainful like you earn, and here don't tell me how much, that the constant is earning. As soon as you get into gainful employment, start planning for your retirement. Because remember when I gave you a story that when you're born, the given is that you will die. It might take longer, many years, but the constant is that you will die. So even when you're employed or when you get into employment, the other given is that one day you'll be out of there. And now, what gets out of there are many things. Like, we love it when it's just old age. Many of us, when I'm 60, isn't it the retirement age for Uganda? When I'm 60, I will be able to retire and get away. Others, like you had the ones who are extending, they get to 70 and they're like, oh, no, I'm 30.
We are here.
And all those other things. As you are talking, I wrote another scripture here that came to my mind, Proverbs 21:5. It says, no, not 21, 13:16. It says that a wise man thinks ahead, but a fool doesn't, and he brags about it. My dear listeners, let's not be fools. Let's not be fools. Let's not brag about not planning ahead. And that's what for me retirement is all about. I love reading about financial literacy. There's a guy in Forbes magazine, he's called Malcolm Forbes. And Malcolm Forbes wrote something that again I wrote here just to remind us. He said that retirement kills more people than hard work ever did. Can you imagine? Retirement kills, this is research. It kills more people than hard work ever did if one is not well prepared. So you see why we ought to plan for retirement. Planning for retirement allows you to live life on your own terms, like you asked me. On your own terms. And this planning requires, like I sit here and I say, what kind of lifestyle do I want to have when I retire? Personally, as Juliet, by the way, I've decided I'm not going to wait for the 60. Yeah, my retirement age is 45, and I started working 10 years backwards. So at that particular time, I'm saying, you know, how am I going to, this lifestyle I have, will I maintain it? How will I live?
Yeah.
The other thing I keep telling people, guys, your children are not your retirement package. They are not your retirement, you know, provision.
Plan.
They are not your pension. So because that is the case, let's plan for our retirement. We have, you mentioned, we have NSSF, we have, there are so many other schemes. If you're in government, there is pension. I can guarantee you it's no longer ideal. We've seen people who live and they don't get it, yet they are sick. There has to be a buffer. You remember when I said diversify? Now we need to diversify the pension schemes. You have to be a part of NSSF, find another scheme. Ubra is here and telling us all those things. Be diversify, be in 7 or 8, because that is the ideal. If you want to live life on your terms, that is what is going to happen. You need to be able to secure that future. We talked about financial goals. A future is good. It's a desire to have, but secure it through planning for your retirement. Yeah.
Right. Tough words, but also wise words from Juliet Kasiita, who is with me today. And just so we are clear, we are talking about setting financial goals. We came from personal finances, which is the heart. We went to savings. We went into debt. How do we manage debt? And how do we set financial goals around debt and whatnot? How do we invest? What are some of the things we need to focus on? And now we are on retirement. And those are some of the things, I think, just to make it clear. But Juliet, even as we come to the end, really, I want closing remarks, encouragement for a guy out there who's thinking, but for me, is it too late? Oh, I'm hearing all these things, but where do I... Yeah, we already said where we can start from, but where do I start from? Where do we get this knowledge from? We're talking about all these things. You can get knowledge everywhere, but yeah, speak to that guy, but also your final thoughts on the subject, setting financial goals.
Okay, I usually say that setting financial goals, guys, it's never too late. We can all start somewhere. This is a journey. Some people are saying, oh, journey is done, today is the 31st. We have 11 months to go. You can still set those goals. So, you know, let's get on this journey. Let's purpose to be a part of this journey. The other thing that I love talking about, like I said, it is personal financial management. It is your personal responsibility. No one cares, guys. Not even your spouse, not even your mother. They are there to support. It is you who has to start with this journey, and when you start defining what it's going to look like. I read another quote that said that up to until now, you are a total of your, you know, thinking and decisions. Okay. So, you know, like the thoughts you have, the decisions that you're taking. In finance, we say that money is 95% habits. So where there is money, put finances. Finances are 95% habits. You have to be able to build those habits, that discipline, and it comes with small, simple things that I've been talking about. Let's cut our coat according to the cloth size. You know, we as individuals, like say the young gentleman like you, we need to be able to mitigate those taps. The leakages in your finances, you need to be able to mitigate them. You need to see what is it that I need to get out, and then invest in financial literacy. These are not things we can leave to guesswork. There are people, there is information that is readily available for you to get onto this journey. We are here to support you. We have worked with other people. We want to support you in your finances and in your businesses. Take control of your finances. Take a decision to take control of your finances. And taking control is going to talk about all the things that we said. How do I save? What are my expenditure patterns? How do I retire? How do, you know, how am I going to invest? All those other areas. Take control of that. When we do that, we are going to have a financially independent and free generation from the years to come. And that's my vision.
Hey, there we go. I have nothing to add really. My vision is to... Yeah, I will share my vision.
It's important that you do share that vision.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much, Juliet. Where do we, if we need you, where do we find you?
Okay, yeah, like we all mentioned, I am the country manager at Snapsis. We are located at the square. The square is on the second, is on 3rd Street. We are on the 2nd floor of the square building. That's where Snapsis is. You can also reach us on all our socials, Snapsis group. You can call me, you can engage with us in that particular platform. We want to see you grow businesses that are going to thrive and create impact, both economic, spiritual and social impact in Uganda.
Hallelujah. There we go. Thank you so much for coming today, Juliet. It was a pleasure. And I hope you've learned a thing or two about setting financial goals, and I'm sure you're ready to then move forward. And it's never too late, like Juliet said, to set them and actually make it happen. I think one of the quotes that I'm going away with is financial literacy or money is 95% habits. Yeah, so it's your habits. If you're that person who goes in a place and you're like, everything on me, from where are you getting that money from? Or if you're that kind of person who says, now, today the truth is, I am giving everything to, I don't know, to you. Anyway, I don't know, but habit, change your habits every day. And I'm sure it's not a 100% turnover, it's every day. Today, start today, save 2K every day and you see if that works. Then advance to 5, advance to 10, like that. And then I'm sure you will be able to see your financial goals and reach them. Okay, I'm not an expert on this one, so I'll stop from there. But tomorrow we'll be back at 6:45 with a devotional. But 7 a.m. is when we start Morning Glory, and I hope to see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Next up is Kids Vibe, so do not go anywhere. This is Church of Uganda Family TV.